Okay, so no mom in her right mind would ever admit that we actually have a little tiny issue with control, but we do. Actually, we all do. And it's truly because our lives are kind of based on the fact of us pulling all the weight for everybody and doing it all. And when we do that, we don't really remember to ask for help or know how to take time to ask for help or self-care or whatever that we have to actually think about, which is all that we're doing at the Mom Ranch here. We just defer to control. And so today I want to talk about kind of the phrases and actions of control and what to do about them, because I know you need to have options. So I'm also going to include PDFs below that kind of spell these out, because I know we're going to go through this and it's going to feel a little fast, and I want you to be able to also look at it and really work through it. Take your time, because you know the immediate thought, knee-jerk reaction is no, I don't control, I'm fine, my kids are fine, everything's good. And the truth is, we all, to this day, I do it, everybody does it, we just have to catch ourselves, that's all. So let me give you some ways to catch yourself. Okay, some phrases that are actually a little controlling are, do you need help? Do you need help? And then like we're kind of like moving in toward like doing it for them. That's kind of controlling. Or why did you do that? Why did you do it that way? Which, by the way, the why question never really has a good answer to it. So it's not a good thing anyway. If somebody's doing something and we're like, hey, do it this way, that's infringing on them already in the act of doing it. And whenever we say should, you should do this, you should do that, that's controlling, because it's just our ideas and concepts put on somebody else, not giving them the air and space to either work it out themselves or think about it. And the word should feels very kind of condemning. You should do this, you should do that. And the person's like, I don't know, maybe I should, but I don't know if I even want to. So these phrases and any other ones where we find ourselves engaging in ways that we weren't invited is always a form of control. In our house, we have this phrase that says, unasked for help is control. So if I'm helping Jordan and he's actually never asked me to, he's like, I didn't ask for help. And like, that's our cue that I'm moving in toward control with him. And I need to back off and let him, try to do something himself. Whether or not I see another way, I need to back off. So we're going to talk about options and things to do, because I know you're probably sitting there going, oh my gosh, then what do I do when I'm just watching this train wreck getting ready to happen? Well, we're coming to that. Okay, some other actions are when we criticize somebody, like, well, I think you should have known that, or how come you did that, or, you should this or that. These are all feeling very judging and criticizing, and that's kind of a form of control, that they should be a different way or they should be acting another way, and it's really hard. Another question on our actions is, does the person, does our kid, have the freedom to say no? Right? So if we set up a situation at home, or like, go ahead and make your bed, and they're like, well, no. And the bottom line is that they need to make their bed, but it may not have to be in the time right now, because they're already in the middle of doing something else. We can say, okay, you don't want to make your bed right now? Okay, tell me when you're going to make your bed. Well, I'll do it later. How about in the next 5 minutes or so? Okay, so they may say okay, they may say no, whatever. There's ways of negotiating everything that doesn't have to drive us crazy, but gives them space and air to choose their life in some way. So after, like, I know you're probably sitting here going, oh my gosh, if I had to deal with this, like the whole bed making thing with every single thing, I would never get anything done. But here's the deal. So if it's about making your bed and you realize they didn't make the bed, you're like, hey, how about in the next 5 minutes? Okay, fine, that sounds good. And then we can say, hey, I don't want to nag you. I'm sure you don't want to hear from me. How about every day before you come to breakfast, you just get that bed made, and then we don't have to deal with this. They're like, great. That sounds great. So there's an expectation without control. If they don't, then we can go to consequences or whatever else. There's a wide variety of ways to deal with that. But the bottom line is to let them have some choice and freedom, especially when it comes to their room, about what to do. So as we can move toward trust and pull back control, and they become really proficient at things, then we can trust more that they're going to be more proficient, and then we give them a little more responsibilities, and then they kill it again and do really well, and our lives become less stressful because they're really taking on their life full on. And it's a really amazing, beautiful thing. So the question is, if we do find ourselves to be a little on the controlling side, what actually do we do about it? So I have a list. First of all, accepting and acknowledging that we are the ones who are trying to move toward control or fix or help or whatever is huge, because that's like 90% of the problem, and 100% of what we can do about it, right? So of course we can pull back, or we can change up things, or we can just say, hey, if you need help, let me know, right? So there's a lot of ways we can navigate once we realize we are kind of the source of what's happening. An opposite of kind of this control and criticism is affirming the good things. So I find that a lot of moms are great with the toddlers because they know that they're trying, and moms are like, yeah, you really tried to walk, good for you, or you really tried to do this, and I saw you wanted to do that. And I don't know what age we lose that, but for sure by the time kids are 9 and 10, there's not a lot of affirmation going on. There's not a lot of encouragement because they are trying new things. There's not a lot of telling them how great they are for navigating friendships and relationships and all the things they're trying to deal with as tweens. And I think sometimes just a positive word is kind of the opposite of control, and it gives them the ability to kind of bloom and unfold on their own terms. I think another way we can work with our family is to ask questions. So when we come from a position of control, we think we know the answers, have all the answers, and can do it all, which we probably do and we probably can, okay? But this doesn't allow somebody to be who they are and allow them to be a human being and affect us. And so often what we can do is just ask. So it can be like, hey, I just need you to start doing some chores around here. Can you pick your top 3 that you might want to do? Or you can say, here, I have a list of like 10 things I need done around the house. Can you pick half of these? Asking them, hey, what do you think about this situation? Or what do you think about that situation? Whether it's just in general around the dinner table, or if they've come to you for advice and they want to know your opinion, always ask them first. Well, before I give you an answer, what do you think? Right? Because then it doesn't give them the leeway to have to please us or just do what we say or whatever. It really gives the power back to them in some beautiful ways to let them take control of their own lives. And I think kind of that's the root of a lot of this, is how can we control our own self and our own life while asking for help and not controlling and demanding from others. When we pull control back and we learn how to influence instead, then things become a whole different story. So the difference between influence and control is a few things. Control is when we actually need people to do things a certain way, or we will do it all, and there's no room or leeway for anybody to breathe or have their own say or just do it their way. That's really controlling. When we influence, we deeply accept and respect and trust and love who somebody else is. And we give them a lot of the power and control of their own life while modeling and being present and being available for them to ask us questions or to look at us to say, hey, well, what does mom do? And when we live our lives in integrity, it's an incredibly powerful way to parent and model and influence a kid. And so I just, look, this is all a process, right? Because we are all when we think about when they're babies, we do have to do it all, and we kind of get into that rut and routine of I've got everything, I'm going to take care of everything. And when they're 4 and 5, we're still kind of taking care of everything. And when they're 9 and 10, we're still kind of taking care of everything. And it's usually those 9 and 10-year-olds who are like, stop, I can do this, I can start to do this, and we need to let them. So go easy on yourself, but be kind of ruthless in saying, I must have control issues. I want to see where they are so I can start changing and I can start engaging in a different way. It's incredibly powerful, and you will be shifting your family in really miraculous ways when you're the one who shifts first.